Welcome back to Safety Mentor. In this video, we shall be continuing with the NEBOSH July 2026 exam breakdown, focusing on questions 4 to 7. I will walk you through each one using the golden NEBOSH answering technique so you know exactly how to score high marks. I have attached a link to the very first video covering questions 1 to 3 in the description below. Make sure you check it out. Let's get into it. So, question 4 talks about assessing the permit to work system arrangements, and it goes as comment on the application of the PTW system at the factory. Note, your answer must be based on the scenario only, and this goes for 16 marks. And then question 5 talks about training recommendations. Management level workers often receive different specific types of health and safety training depending on their role, as well as general health and safety training that will be given to all management level workers. The question goes as, what training would you recommend for management level workers in the factory at tins and cans to improve health and safety competence? Again, note, you must relate the information to the relevant individuals or groups. Your answer must relate directly to the scenario. Now, to answer question number 4, you need to know first of all what a permit to work system is. And the permit to work system is a formal written control system used to authorize and manage high risk work activities. In simple terms, it ensures that hazardous work is properly planned, risk assessed, and controlled before it starts. And the key elements of a permit to work system include authorization, hazard, hazard identification, control measures, communication, the time limitation, and handover and closure. Now, using the golden NEBOSH answering technique, we have the point, scenario link, and reason. The very first point is a positive point regarding the permit to work system. The permits to work were always made in 2 copies. This ensures that all the responsible parties received a copy, that is, the permit requester, who is the contractor A, and the permit controller, who is the EM manager. The scenario link, based on the scenario, when the work at was taking place, the permit for that activity was completed and a copy placed at the entrance to the work area and another copy given to the shift manager on duty. This is the scenario link in blue. In red, this is the reason as to why I feel this point satisfies or is satisfactory. This ensures that the shift manager on duty had real-time awareness and operational control over high-risk activities occurring during their shift. Number 2, lack of management availability. Now, this is a negative regarding the PTW system at the factory. The permit required authorization from the engineering manager, but they were not available when needed. This is evident in the scenario where the contractor had to look for the EM to sign off the permit and he was not available. Now, this is the scenario link or the scenario evidence. The reason supporting that point, this shows poor implementation of the permit work system because delays in authorization can result in work being postponed or potentially started without proper approval, increasing the risk of uncontrolled high-risk activities, and this can cause accidents, stroke incidents. The third point, permits not including time limits, or the permits do not have time limits within them. The permits did not clearly specify time durations for the work being carried out. Now, the scenario link, based on the scenario, the health and safety consultant failed to determine the time limits of the 2 PTW forms that were provided to him by the HR manager during the audit. This means the validity period of the permit was unclear. This is a weakness because without defined time limits, work may continue beyond safe conditions and changes in the environment or risks may not be reassessed, including increasing the likelihood of accidents. All right. Number 4, the permit was displayed at the point of work. A copy of the permit was placed at the entrance of the different activities at the workplace. Now, the scenario link. Based on the scenario, a copy of the permit was displayed at the entrance of the work at height activity that was taking place. The reason, this shows that the permit was accessible at the job location, and this is a good practice because it allows workers and supervisors to refer to the control measures and conditions at any time, ensuring that work is carried out safely and in accordance with the permit. Number 5, clear allocation of the PTW responsibilities. There was clear allocation of both the roles of the parties involved in the PTW system. The scenario link. Based on the scenario, both the contractor in brackets requester and the engineering manager in brackets permit issuer and the shift manager understood their roles in the PTW system and hence discussed the associated hazards and risks associated with the tasks to be carried out and came up with control measures. This shows that responsibilities within the PTW system were defined, and this is important because clear roles ensure accountability and proper control of high risk work activities. I have done for you 5 solid points and given you an extra of more than 10 points, which I want you to beef on using the golden NEBOSH answering technique. And this should be able to get you the complete 16 marks for this question. Now, let's go on to task number 5. Task number 5 is about training recommendations. What training would you recommend for management level workers in the factory at tins and cans to improve health and safety competence? And this goes for 12 marks. Again, something to note, remember to always use the golden NEBOSH answering technique. The examiner has said you must relate the information to the relevant individuals or groups. Your answer must relate directly to the scenario. Now, here they want you to tell them what types of trainings do you think are very, very much needed for their management workers to be able to improve their health and safety at the workplace. Number 1 is the risk assessment training for the shift managers and the engineering manager. The 3 shift managers and the EM should receive practical risk assessment training so they can identify hazards associated with production activities and ensure suitable controls are implemented. Now, the reason, the scenario link here, based on the scenario, the existing production risk assessment fails to identify many of the hazards present in the factory, hence making it insufficient and irrelevant. And we all know that if the risk assessment is insufficient, it means that the control measures will not be relevant to the tasks being carried out, and hence this becomes unsafe. All right. So this is the first point. It's about risk assessment training to the shift managers and the engineering manager. Number 2, incident investigation training for the shift managers. Now, this is the reason the shift manager should be trained to investigate accidents and near misses, identify immediate and underlying causes, and recommend corrective actions. The scenario link. This is particularly relevant following the temporary worker's serious injury involving the burns and the broken forearm. Okay. Here you can see both for points 1 and 2, I have included all the 3 parts, the point, scenario link, and the reason for each point. Number 3 is emergency response training to shift managers, the EM, and the supervisors. The shift managers, EM, and the supervisors should receive emergency response training because they have day-to-day responsibility for production and may need to coordinate the immediate response to incidents. This would support their role in controlling the area, isolating machinery, and ensuring appropriate emergency assistance. And based on the scenario, the supervisor had even forgot to call the ambulance until the health and safety consultant reminded him. So you can see from this point, I've included all the 3 parts, the point, the scenario link, And then the reason as to why I feel emergency response is a crucial training for the shift managers, EM, and the supervisors. Number 4, the permit to work training to the engineering manager or the EM. The EM should receive formal PTW training covering permit issue, authorization, time limits, suspension, handover, and closeout. The scenario link. Based on the scenario, the permits issued by the EM did not have time limits for the task and also didn't include his signature. This is important because the EM controls the PTW system, yet the audit identified permits with missing time limits, and the permits had not yet been properly signed off. Number 5, the lotto stroke isolation training to the EM, shift managers, and supervisors. The EM, shift managers, and supervisors should receive training in lockout, tagout, and self isolation. The scenario link. Based on the scenario, the management were not trained on the lotto and they did not monitor that it was carried out. The reason. This is particularly important because the production self system requires the conveyor and welding unit to be isolated before the blockages can be cleared. Yet the temporary worker bypassed this procedure and reached into the welding unit with his hands, hence the incident. I have given you 5 solid points, 1, 2, up to 5, and I also given you an extra 7 points, which I need you to beef up using the golden NEBOSH answering technique and be able to get the 12 out of 12 marks for this question. This is so easy, and I've made it even easier. Task number 6 talks about collaborative working. Okay. Occupational health, Safety and Health Recommendation 1981, number 164 states that when different organizations work in the same workplace, they should collaborate on health and safety arrangements to reduce exposure to foreseeable risk. As part of their policy, Teens and Cans have extended this collaboration to any worker working on their premises. Explain how teens and cans may have exposed workers not directly employed by them to risk by not collaborating effectively. Note, your answer must be based on the scenario only. Again, here we are going to use the golden NEBOSH answering technique, which includes the point, scenario link, and reason. So this is so easy, and I've broken it down for you. Number 1 is poor communication with contractor A and the shift managers. There is poor communication between the management team and teens and cans and the external workers and contractors. The scenario link. Based on the scenario, contractor A told the HSE consultant they tried to have daily meetings with the shift managers, but they were always too busy. Now, the reason that's why I feel this point is worth it, this leaves the contractor with unsolved challenges which can create risks for his workers since he has not discussed his safety queries and challenges in the daily meetings. Number 2, ineffective permit to work coordination. There is poor coordination between the teens and cans and contractor A regarding the permit to work system. Now, the scenario link again. Based on the scenario, PTW forms were missing important details such as time limits, and some were not properly signed off after the HSE consultant checked them. The reason. Additionally, contractor A mentioned that they could not find the engineering manager to sign off the permit. This lack of coordination can result in work continuing without proper authorization or beyond safe limits, exposing contractor workers to uncontrolled risks. Number 3, lack of supervision and coordination with contractor A. There is inadequate supervision of contractor A and the temporary workers by teens and cans management. The contractor stated that once work starts, they rarely see the EM or supervisors until the end of the shift. This lack of interaction means that unsafe practices or changes in work conditions may go unnoticed, increasing the risk to contractor workers carrying out high-risk activities such as work at height. Number 4, poor communication of workplace hazards to temporary workers. There is a failure to communicate key workplace activities and hazards to the temporary workers. Now, the scenario link. Based on the scenario, temporary agency workers asked what the construction work in the factory was for, showing a lack of awareness. This poor communication means that they may not be aware of risks such as overhead work or restricted areas, increasing their likelihood of being exposed to harm. Number five, inadequate induction and coordination for temporary workers. There is poor coordination in ensuring temporary workers are properly inducted. The scenario link. The scenario states that due to production pressure, some temporary workers were only given a very brief induction if there was time. This exposes them to risk because they are not fully aware of the safe systems of work, which contributed to the injured worker using an unsafe method to clear a blockage. So, I have done 5 solid points for you using the golden NEBOSH answering technique, and even given you a further 7 points, which I wish for you to beef up and give flesh using the NEBOSH golden answering technique. And this should be able to get you 12 out of 12 solid marks. Okay, you can pause the video and write them down and beef them up. Task number 7 is about reporting the incident. Okay, the question goes as, why must the incident be reported to the competent authority? Note, you should support your answer where applicable using relevant information from the scenario. And this question just goes for only 3 marks. Okay, this is the easiest question I've ever seen in all the questions I've done of NEBOSH. Again, using the golden NEBOSH answering technique, the very first reason was why this incident must be reported to the competent authority is to identify the root causes. The incident should be reported so that the reasons behind the incident can be identified. The scenario link. Based on the scenario, the temporary worker was only on their second day. He had received only a brief induction and had been shown an unsafe method of clearing blockages. Identifying these root causes can help teens and cans correct the underlying problems and prevent similar incidents. This would help in determining corrective actions. This is straightforward. Number 2 is to prevent a repeat or more serious incident. The incident should be reported to prevent similar events from happening again. And the scenario link. Based on the scenario, the worker suffered burns and a broken forearm after reaching into the welding unit without isolating it. The reason: reporting the incident allows the hazards and failed controls to be addressed before they result in another potentially more serious accidents that could lead to a fatality, ensuring positive safety culture. This is also pretty straightforward. Number 3, okay, is to meet legal duties. The incident should be reported to ensure that Teens and Cans complies with its legal, health, and safety reporting duties. Based on the scenario, the worker sustained burns and a broken forearm and was unable to return to work for at least 2 weeks. Now, the reason: reporting ensures that organization fulfills any applicable legal requirement to notify the competent authority. This prevents the company from being fined heavy fines for concealing incidents that could be life-threatening to its employees. And number 4, or lastly, to improve health and safety learning and culture. The incident should be reported so that the information can be used to share learning and improve health and safety arrangements at the workplace. In the scenario, there were failures involving the temporary workers' induction, supervision, and adherence to the safe system of work. Using the incident information can help teens and cans improve training and safety arrangements and demonstrates that work safety is a priority. This signals a positive safety culture. That brings us to the end of questions 4 to 7 for the NEBOSH IGC July 2026 examination. I hope this breakdown and the golden answering technique have helped you understand how to approach these questions. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Safety Mentor for more NEBOSH content. And if you haven't watched questions 1 to 3, check out the link in the description. See you in the next video.